You are now watching the Biz to Biz podcast with Alan and Justin.
Hey everybody, welcome to B2B Vault. This is a Street Smarts edition sponsored by the Green Sheet. And today we're going to be doing a wrap-up show all about the SEAA. And I have three guests, which we're going to introduce right now. And we're going to talk about the SEAA and chop it up. Everybody, welcome to the show. So we have today Stephen Morris. So Stephen, what's your company name and where are you from?
I am the managing partner for the Gatler Group. We are a small ISO out of Lexington, South Carolina. Been in the biz since '96. I'm an old head, hence all this gray. I'm trying to make it with you, Alan.
Yeah, we're all catching up. And we have David McGuffin from Houston, Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I own Space City Payments. I've been in the business about 5 years. So,
all right, great. And then next we have Derek.
Hey guys, yeah.
There goes
Derek
Rocky.
Yeah. Derek S. here. 0 Point Electronic Payments in the business since 2005.
Yeah, one thing about the show. I've been going to this show since it started in 2001. Wow. One of the founders of SEAA, Judy Foster, who I met when I first started in the business, she called me up one day and she's like, "Oh, you got to attend a regional show." And I went to the first SEAA in 2001 in St. Pete Beach. Wow. And watched the show grow from whatever, maybe there was 100, 150 people there. And started off with Judy and Sonny Wooten was working for American Express in those days. And American Express has always continued to sponsor and support that show with paying for lunch. And John McCormick. And then everybody else has kind of been rotating in and out of there, and helping with the, on the board and all of those things for that show. And I've supported that show for a really long time. That's the one show that I go to. So David, this was your first show. So you never been to a show before. What did you think about going to your first trade show?
Well, it was my first trade show in this industry. Honestly, it was a little overwhelming at first just by the sheer volume of people and the vendors there and just seeing everything that was out there, what's coming down the pipe, all the new technologies and the vendors. And then, of course, getting hit up by, every ISO that was there, trying to recruit me. And, I have two of them that I write for, that get about 95% of my business that were there. So, I got to hang out with those guys, and that was fun. And
that's always nice when you get a face to face, right? With the vendor that you use. You meet them in person. I find that to be very important.
Yeah, and the fact that I got to meet you and Stephen and Derek, and hang out with you guys, for 3 or 4 days, and get to know you, and that was inspiring as well. So.
And I know Derek came to the show, and he's probably been to some shows, but he brought his son with him.
Yeah.
And what was kind of cool was Derek brought his son. I met another guy who was there with his daughter. And then I met another guy who also brought his son to the show. And that was kind of interesting to see. I know D for like a really long time, and his kids are always at the show. They grew up in the payments business.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, because the first time I met D was at the first show I ever went to, which I think was 2007 in New Orleans. So that was the first show I ever went to. And it was such a great contrast this year versus my first ever show versus 20 years now in the industry, pretty much. I think I can see where Dave's coming from. It's just like this eye of wonder when you come to the first show, and it's the first, you haven't been in the industry that long. It's your first real show. It's like, oh my God. I just remember feeling so my knowledge that I thought I had was just, wiped out in an instance. There was so much more to the industry that I had just no idea about. And that was what was really fun. And that's what was very motivating actually at that time. And I met D at that first show in 2007. And I mean, I saw him at this show. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known D for I've known D for many years. And what's crazy is this year there was probably close to 1,200. There was well over 1,000, probably 1,200 people at this show. And that just shows you, the growth over the years. I remember I was at that show in New Orleans. And there was probably maybe half the amount of people there. Mm-hmm. And, it's just amazing how, I don't think enough sales reps. That's why I'm doing this episode, right? Because I want you guys to share this out on your Facebook and all the groups that we're in on Facebook, so people can see like there's a lot of benefit to going to these shows. So Steven,
it's not only for ISOs, which I'm sure we're kind of getting into that aspect of it as well.
We have Facebook groups.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've got our Facebook groups and everything, and we all kind of know each other from our groups. But man, like that Monday, Steven just walked right up to me, knew exactly who I was, and that right there in itself was like, wow, because Steven, longtime veteran in the industry, somebody I totally respect. I listen to what he says, and when he says something, I take it as pretty much a gold standard. So same with Derek, same with you. So it was, getting to meet some of you guys has been, I mean, like I said, just totally inspiring, and also making me realize that I got a lot more to learn.
That's that Dunning-Kruger effect, Oh man, I know what I'm. You're enough to be dangerous until, it really comes in. I know that feeling.
For me, my first show was Midwest Acquirers back in 2017. I had been in the industry for quite some time and never went to a payments conference. And I'm glad you coordinated this call or this podcast or this video, Alan, because I think it's imperative that every person that's in payments go to these shows, whether you go to SEAA or NEAA or Midwest Acquirers or WASA. What happened was when I went to Midwest, and I realized that I wasn't by myself. That was key for me because a lot of people feel like you have this Lone Ranger mentality. You're trying to figure it out. You don't know if your ISO gives you good training. You're wondering if other people are dealing with the same objections and issues that you are. And like David said, we see each other through these groups on social media. And, we got all these different Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. But when you meet people in person, man, it really strengthens you to go back home and grow your residuals. And so a payments conference, it really encouraged me. So SEAA, like I said, I'll be honest, my first show was 2017 in Chicago, but I started going to WASA. I think that's where I met you, Derek, was WASA when it was in Huntington Beach. And you really start to see how the payment industry, even though it's really large, it really is very small. And you get to learn from a lot of the players that are out there doing this business with integrity and honor. So for me, New Orleans was a great show. It was reconnecting. Of course, like David said, you're going to get different people trying to recruit you. But if you look past that and just go out there for the knowledge and the camaraderie and the networking, you'll know who to partner with and who to talk to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always a lot of good information. And, I walk around and a lot of people just walk up to me. Hey, Alan, they know me from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from the podcast, from writing in the green sheet. But it's amazing. Like I'll make a comment in some of the Facebook groups and people message me that never heard of the green sheet before. I'm like, this is one of the most important magazines in our business because it's probably the only magazine that really puts out articles for the sales reps. And it's not aimed at like general information or information for ISOs. So it's, that's why, and we can do one of these Stephen, after you do Midwest. We can get a few people on and do another one of these. It'd be really good to get
here's
people.
Here's one of the things I would want to promote about Midwest. I am on the advisory board now, which is pretty cool. We're trying to make some changes, trying to really be fresh and new. And like I said, the other shows, I love them and they're great. But when you're on the board or the advisory board for one of these shows, and Alan, you can relate because you are on SEAA, you want to get people to come to your show and you want to get them to be really engaged. That's the thing. A lot of these shows.
No, I just stole the shirt. I got a shirt. Jamie Garfield, shout out for hooking me up with a SEAA shirt. I'm not on the board.
Well, here's the plug I want to promote. If anybody wants to go to Midwest Acquirers Midwest Acquirers is at the end of July. And if you want information, it's on midwestacquirers.org. I have a promo code for anyone that this is your first show. If you ever want to go and experience it, you can go for free. It won't cost you anything. The only thing you got to do is get your hotel, which we're already in the Overflow Hotel. And we're coming off the back of New Orleans. SEAA, great attendance, great show. So if you weren't able to make it to New Orleans, you can make it to Chicago the very next month. And the promo code, I'm going to give it to you on this, is VIP MLS24. If you enter that, when you go to register, you don't pay a dime. So now I've taken away the excuse for you not to experience your first payments conference. And then you can go check all the other ones out and compare them. Some of them are really, really good. And some of them, they're reasonable. Like I know it's a lot of people from WASA. You're going to see a lot of people from the West Coast that may not come to Southeast Acquirers. Get out there and really find out who your network is. So VIP MLS24, that's the promo code. That was my quick.
So the thing is with these regional shows are much more affordable to go to than to go to the ETA, and you got to buy a ticket for like a couple of $1,000. And the vendors at these shows, it's more geared towards speaking to sales reps and people with a small ISO or an agent office, however you want to view your business, and you get to meet the people that run these companies. The relationship managers are there, and all. So you get to meet key people from all these different vendors that come out. So Derek, how did your son? That was his first time at a show.
That was his first time. That's my middle son. My older son's went to the Atlanta show the year before. He's more of the sales oriented, but my second son, this was his first show, and he's a
tech guy, right?
Yeah, he's a tech guy. So he viewed it in a totally different lens. He enjoyed more of the hardware, the equipment, the programming interfaces more so than the sales aspect of it. So he's not a go out and sale guy. He's a let me fill a hole that a certain software needs to do, and we'll solve the problem. So it's just cool seeing these young people look at things through different lenses, and even though we're all presented with the same information. So he enjoyed it.
I think a lot of tech people need to go to payments conferences because technology is always going to be increasing. Like me, when I walk the exhibit floor, I like we saw Landy, they were there. I like seeing what new products are out there. So for a tech person, let's even remove the salespeople, because the salespeople, we're going out to network with one another, but your tech people need to go too. They need to know what's coming down the pike.
And look, just one piece of nugget that you could gain from those shows could be life changing. I mean, an example, we have my son actually we have 4 or 5 Clover apps that he's developed, and we can't get Clover to push them through. So guess who was there? Fiserv booth. We had a chance to speak with those guys, and the insights they provided us, we could not find that answer no matter who you spoke with. So just simple little things like that could be the game changer at some of these shows.
Yeah. So what vendor, David, did you see any vendors there that you were like, wow, that was really cool, or anything that you saw at the show?
Well, meeting the guys from Deja Vu, that was key right there. Just knowing, that I now have a direct contact, with them. I got to reconnect with Lala over at Quick POS. Her office was about 12 miles away from my house. I've been to their office before. I have a reseller agreement with them, but haven't really pushed it too hard. And just being able to reconnect with her and seeing some of the enhancements they've made to their point of sale system was really cool. Talking to the guys over at Sound POS, Corona, the guys over at Corona, I know them, talked to them numerous times on the phone. So that was really cool. And then, seeing, Dustin over at PayBright, seeing him again. I've met him once before when he came through Houston, but, him and, Jonathan Young, and going out to dinner with them Monday night, and Steven, and having a good time doing that, and just talking shop, that just, that basically that solidified again why I write, and put probably 80% of my deals over at PayBright. It's just
it's one of the only
make that
shows,
personal connections.
One of the only places, honestly, guys, where you can just go and speak your normal everyday language and everyone understands it.
Yeah.
Versus, which I have these discussions with people and they're like, what are you talking about? I mean, just simple things that they have no idea about. You can just have an open, straight conversation to a random person and they actually understand, someone that you've never met before at the shows, and they understand what you're talking about, which is, that's the coolest thing ever, because anyone you speak with, you can, have normal high level and conversations for the most part. So that's what's fun as well.
For me, I kind of looked at it at a different route. The technology piece is cool. I wanted to partner with vendors that complemented what I did. So talking to like companies like GCF, like one of the things that we did, we sell paper to our merchants. And I know in this day and age, people are like, oh, well, we give free paper away, and they think that that's a sales point. Honestly, I think you're losing out on revenue, because here's the thing. If you go prospect a merchant, let's say they say, I love my Heartland guy, I'm never leaving him. Well, our company, we will sell paper to that merchant, and we will not walk away from that deal. So to talk to companies like GCF, talk to companies, like we buy now, pay later is a big thing for us. So there were companies there that were talking about that type of thing with consumer financing. You're going to find that at the shows. Definitely find, we're going to have the Deja Vu, we're going to have the Valors, we're going to have all the Corona and Sound POS. Those guys are there all the time. But I like talking to the new vendors, the new exhibitors, because you never know what they could bring to the table that's going to complement what you do already.
No, that's true. When you see like all these exhibitors there, it's important to just talk to them, discuss with them what they're off, what they have, how you can put that into your playbook. You got to have today. I think merchants, and I've said this at the show at one of the sessions, merchants are more interested in buying technology today than they are focused on price so much. I mean, anybody can deliver on price. People want technology and service.
That's right.
That's what they want. And it's important.
That's important. That's been since day one, is solving their problem. But, we've been so focused on pricing that, we need to step it up a notch.
And that's another point that I want to point out. I'm so glad you mentioned the savings portion, because if you're that sales rep that's still going out there talking about, I can save you money in your processing. But if you're not giving them the right solution, then the savings is meaningless, because you can save them all the money in the world. We all know how dual pricing will pass the fees to the public. But if I'm saving all the money in the world and the solution you give me is cumbersome and clunky, then I'm not going to want it. And so that's the reason why going to these conferences is such a key advocate, that if you're not going, you're missing out.
Well, like I'm getting ready to add payrolls. I talked to the Magnify payroll people. So, that's a perfect complement for what we do. I already do consumer financing. That's about 30% of my book right now. So, yeah.
That's great. And Magnify people are good people too. I know those guys. So that's a good add on. Heartland, that's built into Heartland's deal, is their payroll company. I mean, I don't know why. I do know why. It's a scary thing, and we like to know what we're speaking about. And payroll is kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't know. But that's another arrow in your quiver that you can talk to a merchant about and help solve, an issue that they have
So one of the things at the show that I noticed, so the very first session was done by Ashley Nagy from RSPA. Now, I said a lot in that. I had a big back and forth with them, right? So one of the things that's always comes up on Facebook and always comes up when I talk to reps is all the talk about agnostic software and then ISVs. These are the two probably most discussed things, along with 0% programs, right? These are the three most discussed subjects amongst everybody, right? So the first one, I'll throw this out there, agnostic POSs. This is the scariest thing in our business today because over the last 5 years, I've seen dozens of agnostic solutions completely disappear. Had a conversation with Derek about that recently. It's not anything that we're in control of. One of these companies gets sold to a investment group. They're the first thing they're going to do is put in their own payments. And I think that as sales reps, I think everybody needs to rethink that. We rethought it at our company. We partnered with people that own the POS and the processing. We might make a little bit less money, but we know that solution is going to stay solid and it's not going to get ripped out from us. I mean, I don't want to talk about millions. And when I say millions, I'm not joking around. Millions in processing that has been ripped out of my book over the last decade from acquisitions of point of sale companies.
That's why I don't focus on restaurants anymore.
No, I'm not just talking about restaurants, all types of any kind of POS, point of sale system. So we kind of switched our gears into that kind of, and the restaurant business is very rough right now. The average restaurant, is not staying in business. Tons of them are closing up. Even one of the guys on that panel said his business, his ISO almost went out of business because they were solely focused on restaurants. And then all of a sudden restaurants were closed for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And they had to immediately regroup and start selling, other things, non-card present, B2B, to get their business back on track. Because I tell everybody, you cannot focus into one vertical, because if something happens to that vertical, you're done. Your business. I saw many people during the pandemic that had restaurants and salons, like that was their whole business. And then they had no business. I mean,
that's why International
reason.
Bank Card sold half of their portfolio were hospitality and the other half were stadiums. Right. And in 2020, there were no restaurants and there were no games. So they that was pretty wild.
That was pretty wild. Luckily, our portfolio wasn't that mix heavy on restaurants. Like the majority of agents ISO's portfors are very heavily restaurant focused.
But I stay away from restaurants if I can.
Yeah.
Because invariably something is going to happen at 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday night when you're on vacation in Hawaii. And that was a true story.
Not even if you're on vacation in Hawaii, you could be home in the bed.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you want your weekend to be ruined, have a whole portfolio full of hospitality.
Oh, yeah. I like focusing on businesses that like to keep the same hours I do.
And the other thing at the show that was there was a lot of booths, and there was a session about that with Caleb from now I'm going to mess up his name, Tild, right? The whole discussion about ISVs. And one of the things that I see with a lot of these ISVs is they go, I guarantee if we ask, companies who sign up ISVs, they're going to tell you that a lot of them don't book a ton of sales because they haven't figured out how to make sales. Yeah. And that's kind of the, but I think that we're going to see a lot of ISOs start to try to acquire some of these ISVs and fold them into their business, because I think that's the trend that we're going to see in the next 5 years. What do you guys think about that?
A lot of processors nowadays, our processor for if you meet a parameter, it's an instant approval, instant mid, instant live. Like, what's the benefit of an ISV other than mass boarding a ton of accounts? But I guarantee you, if you come to any reputable full service processor and say, hey, I have this ISV who's got 1,000 accounts. These are their parameters. Let's create a grid. Let's create a grid and auto approve every one of them. You can do that. So to me, an ISV has always been about the boarding process, and ISOs are actually catching up with them. So I don't. We're not trying to go after Susie selling bows and ribbons at the flea market. It has never been. At least never been, or anyone that's ever tried to go after that business, that's a waste of time, period. So that's
too small. Micro business is too small, the micro business.
Right. That's micro merchants. And that's where Square and Stripe started. Now, to give them credit, Square and Stripe started at those micro businesses, built a name up, and they're trying to attack, our territory. But I'll digress on that one. So you get it.
So out of all did you guys attend a lot of sessions? Which session did you get the most out of, or tell me what?
For me, it was the biometrics one. That one was pretty interesting because it let us know where the industry is going. Right now, the big thing, that's my son in the background, hilarious. Tap to pay is a big thing right now. Apple Pay, Google Wallet. We live in a generation where I call anyone under the age of 30 a kid. And so 30-year-old kids don't know how to write checks anymore. They do everything on their smartphone and their smartwatch. And so with that being the case, it was interesting to see how biometrics, that's going to be a huge thing moving forward. Everything that we do on our phone, facial recognition, thumbprint recognition, retina scans, all that's going to come to payments in the next 10 to 15 years. I truly believe in the next 20 years when I'm in my 70s, I don't think credit cards will even be a thing anymore. Everything will be biometrics to avoid chargebacks. Right now, if you're able to solidify a transaction by facial recognition, there's really no way that the consumer can say that there was a chargeback if your face and your DNA was there. So that was pretty interesting. Some folks thought it was scary, but I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I actually talked to those guys, and I was like, wow, this would be great, like for high risk industries, but they were like, no, we're not going there. So we're not going there. One thing I do know is, like, we work with one system and they have biometric for like the employees to like log in with their finger, and we actually work with a payroll company, and to sign in you have to go up to an iPad and do a facial recognition to sign in, and that kind of stops to make sure they know everybody's on time. Nobody's Steven's not clocking in for Derek, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So, I think that we're going to see small steps with that. I know that Amazon had that pay with the palm thing, and that was not received very well. So
I don't think we're ready for that yet.
I think it'll take time.
Everybody's so worried about, Big Brother watching. If you've got a smartphone, he's already watching anyway.
Yeah, he's already watching.
If you got an iPhone or an Android or any type of smartphone, ever since cell phones came out, he's been listening. So
now, one of the things I was disappointed about with the session was the AI. That one was a little disappointing because everybody just kept talking about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence and payments. I don't know how that's going to progress, but I was curious to see what they were going to say. And it just kind of figured like everybody was just talking about ChatGPT. What are your thoughts on AI and payments? I want to present that to the group. What do you guys think? How do you think it's going to progress?
One of the things is like with AI and payments, I mean, you would think that they would be able to build like a better fraud engine using AI. They talked a lot about boarding, but I think automated boarding has been around for a couple of years, and the ability for the underwriters not to have to manually look everything up. I mean, the place where I send most of my business. We've had that for a couple of years now.
Right.
So literally, like, we can put a client in the portal, send it to them, they sign it. Literally within 10 minutes of the underwriter getting that deal, they open it up and they literally have everything: the Google Street View, the credit. They've verified the driver's license, the social, the federal tax ID number.
Alan, what I'm hearing you say is AI will probably replace a lot of underwriter jobs.
I don't know.
That's what I'm hearing.
No, I don't think. I think it'll just speed it up. I don't think it'll. Today we were doing a podcast. Let's say there's 5 underwriters. Maybe you might be able to cut that down to 3. Or maybe you'll take those guys and put them on working on fraud versus
risk. Right, I got you.
Or risk, and you're going to reassess, like, where are we putting people and how are they doing? Because at the end of the day, you got to have the human eye. Look at Stripe; they board everybody. It's all done with AI. As soon as someone runs a transaction, boom, they're shut off.
Hold your money,
and they're holding your money. So we know, like, that exists, but it's not that friendly when it comes down to that. What session did you like, David?
I think my favorite was the biometric one as well. Just seeing what's coming down. Granted, we're probably 8 to 10 years away from it because they've still got to build out the framework for it, and that's gonna include a lot of AI as well. So, but yeah, I have to agree with Steven, man. The biometric one. In 10 years, we're going to be paying with a thumbprint or facial recognition or something like that. So,
what was this favorite session for you, Derek?
Really enjoyed the not afraid to code or technology or something for the ISO. The title was misleading, but it was more about how to use technology, building and developing apps. That's why I went that one with my son. And a nugget that I got from them was pretty amazing, I think. Was these developers don't even like to use ChatGPT because they know everything is being monitored, stored away, and used against us. So this is crazy. He gave us the group. You can build your own ChatGPT. It's basically a higher learning model that you can run at your house on a server that essentially is ChatGPT, but you hold all the data. I was like, That's pretty freaking cool. And when anything you ask, it's never going to be given to the source, which are the oligarchs, in Silicon Valley. So I thought that was a pretty neat one. But yeah, so I enjoyed that one quite a bit.
So, talking about AI. So AI has been in the news a lot. So a couple of things that have been in the news is all these people starting new AI companies. Elon Musk's building XAI. People are leaving OpenAI and building out AI. But the biggest thing in the news was that Apple, and I don't know what Google's doing, but Apple is going to put OpenAI into the operating system of the iPhone. Now, Elon Musk came out and he said, well, he's not going to have his employees using iPhones anymore.
There's going to be an X phone launch.
What do you guys think about that?
I will buy an X phone.
What was his logic behind that? Why is he not going to do that?
Because
he feels like
what
people
control?
Are using
I mean, the AI, can it read your email? Can it read your chat?
True that.
Are you going to be sharing sensitive company information? I mean, we're getting, you're getting an app from somebody. All of a sudden, OpenAI is going to know who you get apps from.
Yeah, you're building these rockets and space things, at SpaceX, and now all of a sudden China's going to have all of our designs, just from AI. I mean, I'm saying China, but anybody,
Well, we all know technology is going to be the death of us. It is.
Yesterday, I have my computer is Microsoft computer, right? And I get a note from them. Oh, you want to trade in your computer? You can trade in the computer, and the new computer comes with built-in AI. They're offering me almost what I paid for the computer just to get this new computer. Has the Copilot AI built into the computer.
Huh.
I'm not so sure I want that.
Well, in 10 years, all we're going to have to do is say, hey, create me a veterinarian software or whatever, and then
they'll do it.
Instantly create it. Or say like, let's take micros for example, or toast. Here AI, here's toast, point of sale. Duplicate that for me. 10 seconds. You'll have a duplicated toast point of sale. So what's going to happen with us?
You guys remember the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's, telling you, man, it's just so amazing what AI
make as much money as you can right now and invest, because
it's dangerous, but people feel like they want this automation. That's what it is. That's the reason why we fall in love with AI, because it does what we needed to do in a fraction of the time frame. But we have to be weary about that when it comes to payments. I just feel that that's my personal opinion. But it's going to happen regardless. We're always going to try to do things faster, better, quicker. I remember the days when I used to have to pop popcorn on the stove. Those days are gone, and we're never coming back. So it's the same thing with payments. It's just only going to progress.
You know, people are migrating more to AI because it gives you the one thing back that you can normally not get back. And that's your time. You know, I mean, it cuts everything down by at least half. You know, I use it just for marketing. You know, I can put in a prompt and what I'm looking for. Boom, I just spit something out. I put it through an HTML scrubber, paste it into a Word doc, and then I can modify it how I want to so it sounds like me. But I've got my marketing content already done for me, basically.
yeah.
You know, a blog post, you know, stuff like that.
I mean, the people might have like 6 or 7 fingers, but you know, I don't know if y'all seen those AI in generated images, but they don't have humans down quite right yet. It's hilarious.
True.
Yeah, some of the images need a lot of work, but it still can give a graphic designer a good start, maybe on making a logo or an image or something like that. Now, my two favorite sessions at the show were the very first one where they had 3 ISOs up there basically talking, and everybody was going over like what their struggles were out in the field and things like that. So it was kind of nice to hear what people are, you know, that people are experiencing the same type of struggles all over the place. And the other one was when, you know, Caleb, they did the one with the ISV one, talking about ISVs, although I think it kind of like went way over everybody's head a little bit on some of the stuff, because some of the questions we get asked all the time is, oh, we had a call this morning. Oh, we want to put up this platform. We just want everybody to come on there. And the guy's like, yeah, just like Stripe. And I was like, that's an underwriting nightmare. Like, we're not able to, you know, the PayFac model that the ISOs use is not geared towards that. It's geared towards, oh, we're going to board 1,000 plumbers and air conditioning guys and locksmiths and so on and so forth. Or we're going to do a bunch of veterinarians, dog grooming, and boarding places, you know, and it's a lot easier to underwrite something like that versus, you know, this vast variety of businesses.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that from that perspective. And what do you guys think of the future of, I know I brought this up before, but what do you guys think of let's hear one at a time, the future of agnostic software? You think this is going to go away, or what do you think, Stephen?
I do. I think software providers and POS companies, what they do, they may start off agnostic in the beginning, but once they build their customer base to a couple thousand, if not tens of thousands of users, they're going to take the payments piece because it's too much money for them to ignore. You look at software vendors like Jobber and Service Titan. In the beginning, they're going to say, oh yeah, we'll let you integrate. After a while, they're going to be like, all right, you got to migrate off. I've seen it with too many different software providers. I've seen it with too many different point of sales. And so that's why, like Derek said, it's best to just get in with the ISV from the beginning So that way you enjoy the ride from start to finish, and they don't have to look for another partner. They just look for one. And believe it or not, that's what Stripe is doing. Let's be honest. Everybody integrates with Stripe because Stripe is going for those software vendors, and they're getting in on the beginning. So we're going to have to do the same. I think the agnostic POS and the software, it may start out that way, but eventually they're going to push you out.
Pick your partners wisely, right?
I'm just waiting for someone, and I don't know why any ISOs have not done it yet. ISVs, we all have enough money. I say we all, the titans of the industry have enough money to where they could sit there and purchase a vertical market of every single software, and then have it all in house to where we could recruit agents, build on agents, and say, look, go after veterinarians with software, go after puppy groomers, software, go after this. We own all of that software.
Shift 4 is already starting it.
There's a company out there an ISO there's enough money to do this. And because you bring on, and he's like, what's the software for this? What's the software for this? And Steven's right, because the future is going to be so fragmented that an ISO can't survive, because he's going to have a rep that has to write this software, has to write this software, has to write this software. So as a true ISO model, how are you going to survive off of payments alone? So that's the future.
Another thing you could add to that, I mean, look at some of the software providers that are actually at the payment conferences. Biller Genie, Rectangle Health, these are software vendors, and they're allowing us to work, but they're going to get a certain amount of basis points as profit. So they realize the advantage of partnering with the individual agent, because if I partner with an individual agent on ISO, I got my own sales team on the street promoting my product, and I'm going to get some basis points off of that.
Instant access.
Days of just giving you all the processing, those days are done.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, there's a few companies with that business model where they want, 25, 50 basis points. I think 50 is excessive. I even think 25 is excessive.
Yeah.
10 might be livable, and you could still write deals and be, listen, you put 25 basis points on a doctor's office or 50, they're not, they're going to shy away from that real quick.
But the issue is, they may shy away from the price of the processing, but if the software is doing everything that they want it to do, they're not going to say anything. See, that's the thing about these ISV partnerships. The software vendors, their job is to get you addicted to what the platform can do. If they can run my appointments, I can pull up charts, I can send text messages to remind my patients to come on their appointment. If I got it running my business, the payments piece, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And that's
I tell all my sales reps, sell the software and the solution first, okay? You can't sell on the price, because once somebody falls in love with the solution, and my answer to them is, look at Toast, okay? Let's all just take a look at Toast, okay? The software is okay. I wouldn't say it was the greatest of all times. I would say they built a very simple interface that's easy to use. Okay, from the waiter standpoint, okay, or the wait staff, but they charge an arm and a leg for credit card processing. I mean, let's face it. If we walked in and said, "Oh, we're going to give you 4 Deja Vu terminals and charge you 2.79%," a merchant would kill us, right? But people are getting Toast, and they're paying that much for credit card processing, and they're paying extra for
buy the hardware too, or lease the hardware. It's I don't believe it's free anymore.
No, it's not free. They tell you it's free, but you're signing a 36 month
business. We know that there is nothing for free.
Ain't nothing in this world is free.
There is nothing for free. We're going to start paying for air soon. Trust me, there is nothing for free. They're going to get that money in some way, some shape, some form. And here's another thing. When they do have their customer base and they have you committed to what the software can do, it's running your business effectively, they also can manipulate the pricing on the payments later on down the road. We've seen instances with Toast where they will up let's say that, you gotta do your online ordering through us. Well, they're gonna raise your fees for that.
Right.
Once I got you, I got you. It's almost like, unfortunately, it's almost kind of like the drug game. I'll give you the first hit for free, but once I got you, you're gonna keep coming back. And that's
one of the things.
Partnerships.
Yeah, one of the things with like Toast and also Clover, you get the base system, right? But then you got to purchase all these add-ons.
Yeah.
All these add-ons, right? Like Toast, they came out, then online ordering, it's extra. Payroll
Loyalty.
is extra. The time clock is extra.
Once I got you hooked, I got you.
So, that's where, I was talking about in the very first session of the meeting, and I was like, I look around the room and I said, I don't see my competition in this room. I don't see it on the stage, and I don't see it in the room. Right now we're having a podcast, 4 of us. I don't look at you guys to be my competition. I think our biggest competitor is the internet. And in the early 2000s, Paul Green, who started the Green Sheet, wanted the agents to have their own voice. And it never happened because the guys who got a hold of it, ISOs got a hold of it, and they basically tried to turn it into a buying group. And that's not what we need. What we need as a group of agents is to have like a advertising co-op. I'm actually talking to some people about this. Have an advertising co-op, and everybody pay in, a few $100s a year to create like a huge fund of a couple $1 million to go out and promote, hey, buy from your local payment professional. That's what we need, because
that's a different spin, Alan. That's crazy. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm talking to a few people about trying to organize that, because I think that it has value to the sales reps in the industry. And if anybody's listening, they think that's a cool idea. Listen, it's been estimated that there's somewhere between 10,000 and 50,000 people out selling payments. If everybody put in
a very small amount.
Right. No, I'm just saying that's the estimate. It could be 50,000 could include a lot of part-time people. But if people who are full-time selling, if everybody put in, if you had 10,000 people and everybody put in $500 a year, which is not a lot of money, we could create a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign. Let's just think about it. American Express puts out buy local, right? And I think Visa does something like that, small business. And, we could have the same thing, buy from your local payment professional, because the internet's coming for us. And if we don't watch out, we got to protect our business, because the ETA is not helping us.
No.
The regional shows are not set up to do that. And, it was always a dream of Paul Green, who started the Green Sheet, to have that. They had a thing, NAOPP, National Association of Payment Professionals.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it never got going because the ISOs kind of hijacked the whole thing. And then a few guys tried to create buying groups and things like that. We don't need a buying group. What we need is an advertising voice. I told Bart Kohler, who was in the very first session, he's been involved with the ETA and the CPP. And I told them, I says, if they cared about CPP, they would do an advertising campaign for it. They would do, we as a group probably need to do this.
I wanted to stand up on that presentation, because I was in the first class.
So was I.
Of the CPP. Remember, there was no study guide, nothing. It was don't know. You'll know what the questions are when you take the test.
Exactly.
I passed. It was like 2011, I believe it is. And in Louisiana, there was 2 other people, and they both were like Capital One Bank or something like that. Other than those people, it was me. And I tried to build value with it as a credential, but it's not a credential if no one knows about it. Anyone can put any letters behind your name, and I mean, it looks cool, right? But I mean, like, what is a certified payment professional? And people are like, okay, that's great. Are you going to beat my rates? So it's like, I mean, at that point. But anyway, so that's why, recognition and creating.
No, that's why I came up with the idea to have an advertising co-op. Exactly. Everybody can have a profile on a website. You get a seal, put it on your business cards, put it on your website. We're a local payment professional. We don't need to be like the BBB, report complaints. We don't need to deal with any of that. Everybody can have a profile, and it's an advertising campaign.
Well, yeah, when you look for an attorney, you type in a name, and it's always their, like, the first thing that pops up would be the attorney, their certifications, etc. That would be something interesting for the payment space. So cool.
Yeah, if you guys want to get involved in it, after I have a couple more meetings with people, I want to get a group of like 10 people, and then put this to the test. Like Steven's doing a thing at the Midwest show, the MLS Forum, right? Mm-hmm. This kind of advertising group could be the group that goes out and says, okay, we're going to go to the regional shows and say, hey, let us put this on, and we'll bring in tons of reps to your show, because everybody's going to want to attend our session and join this advertising campaign. And I don't think it's that hard to ask people for $500. We probably blow $500 on plenty of other.
They blow $500 at the bar at the show.
Right.
So, trust me, that's nothing.
Dave would, that's for sure. Oh man, hey, before you go, you got to talk about how great the after hours. And sorry, missed you, Steven, on the after hours on the bar crawl, but bro,
the Natevia bar crawl.
I'll add this. You gotta be full of energy when you go to these shows. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, it's gonna wear you out, because we didn't talk about that. You're right, Derek. We didn't talk about the fun part of this, like the parties, the food. Like, you're gonna have a good time. It's it's good to be educated. It's good to network. But you are right, Derek. The bar club, New Orleans was a good city just to kind of hang out and try to see what was out there. But yeah, I'm not my 50-year-old legs couldn't keep up with my 20-year-old initiative. I was tired.
I was about to fade too before it started, and then we got going, and I mean, Derek and I were both like, man, are they ever going to stop? Are we ever going to get to the first bar?
Yeah.
And I had 18,000 steps. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it was like 2 miles.
We're like, yeah, okay, this is okay. It was kind of cramped. Oh, yeah. But the last one we went to, that was the fun one. That's where they were doing the karaoke and playing all the 80s music, and Derek and myself, having a great time. We had Kevin O'Sullivan from Deja Vu with us. You should have seen him. He was in rare form. So,
yeah, the first night there was a few people that had a few drinks. I'm sure they didn't show up for the show the next day on time.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that hard drinking, because you may not wake up in time for the rest of the sessions.
Yeah, you want to, you got to pace yourself at the shows, and there's always plenty of food to eat. And this year there was, they had one presentation where they gave 4 students money who went through a program. That was nice. And then they had the dog rescue there, raising money for Derek. I don't know if you guys knew Derek, but I knew Derek for probably over a decade. So that was nice that they did something for him. And listen, it was great meeting you guys. It was the first time I met all 3 of you in person.
I think I met you in Fort Lauderdale, Alan. Didn't you go?
Oh, yeah. No, you met me, but I'm saying, like, we had a long conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I go to these shows, I'm walking around, everybody's like, hey, Alan, give me your card. I mean, David,
Alan,
your first time you went to the show, wait till you see your email box at the end of next week.
I know. Alan,
It's
you're like
already
the
Beginning of
Larry,
next
you're
week,
the
try
Larry
the beginning
David
of this
payments.
week. I'm just
Yeah, it's already
I
starting.
mean, just since we've been on this podcast, I think I've gotten 4 emails already.
It's coming.
I just unsubscribed.
I'm on everybody's list. So listen, don't unsubscribe from the emails. You can see what the competitors are doing and offering and things like that. So
I mean, that's where I'm at in my career. I'm good. I don't need to know any more about what everybody else does. My competition is who I look in the mirror at.
That's what it is in this business. In this business, you got to get up. You got one important book I'll leave everybody with, then we'll jump off of this podcast. One of my favorite books that somebody gave me when I first got into the business was Who Moved the Cheese? And that book's very important because I think in the beginning of me being in this business, that was something I looked at on a yearly basis. Now I look at that probably on a monthly, quarterly basis as to see what kind of things, because technology is changing so fast. Boom, 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 boom. And we have to really pay attention to the technology changes. Any other last words, guys?
I had a great time, great hanging out with everyone. Everybody needs to go to the shows. Any show is better than none for sure, and they're all great. You get to see so much. It's just truly worth it. I mean, we have to get the word out because there's people that have been in the industry 15, 20 years and just have never even heard of a show.
Right.
Exactly. There was a guy we met at the show. I met a guy at the show, 20 years in the business. That was his first show.
Yeah.
Ben.
Me too.
Yeah.
Ben out of Greensboro was one of the guys that was like that. I will co-sign the sentiment of what Derek says. One thing I tell people all the time, doctors have to take continuing education. Accountants have to take continuing education. Look at the payments piece look at these conferences as being a continuing education for you in the payment space. We're one of the few industries where we can earn residual income and we don't need a license or a certificate. Stockbrokers, you got to have a Series 7, Series 63. Life insurance, you got to have a health and life license. Payments is the only industry where you can get in at 18, 19 years old and just go out there and start talking to people about their processing needs. So with that said, you need to be educated about what's going on in your industry. And like I said, network with some really, really great people. Hone your craft, learn your craft, and be better at it by networking with people that are good at what they do and teaching you, willing to teach you without a hidden agenda to be successful. ETA, thousands of dollars to go. Some of these shows are a couple hundred, and then you can take your family and go to some really nice cities. So make it happen.
Yep. David, your first time going to the show, you're going to come back?
Oh, I'm already ready to book Orlando next year.
All right, great.
So
all right.
I'll be there.
He dropped off. He kicked us out.
He kicked us out.
All right, let's take it.
All right, it's over.
He kicked himself out, I think.
I've never
We're
seen
still
that.
on. We're still recording. What's up, guys?
He's
There he
back.
is.
Here he comes. He didn't pay his StreamYard bill.
Yeah. We're gonna be like behind the scenes here at the end.
Okay, well, that's the end of the podcast. And I don't know. I guess you guys can hear me, but you can't see me.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you guys for being on here. And thanks for listening to B2B Vault, the Smart Streets edition, sponsored by the Green Sheet. And I hope everybody enjoys this and share that you'll get a nice little you'll get an email from us, and you'll be able to you get an email from us, and you guys will be able to share this with a thumbnail to everybody on your social, on LinkedIn. Let's get the word out that everybody, all agents, need to attend shows.
You got it.
All right,
guys. Take
care.
care.
Peace out.
Peace.
Let's have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you.
David, I'm going to give you a call next week.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Talk soon.